Hi, and welcome to Intuitive Insights. On this channel, we discuss everything to do with the Ascension process. If anyone's new, welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy to have you with us. And hello again to all of our subscribers. Today is a little bit of a special day. I received my Starseed Oracle in the mail. And so we're going to do a little reading and see what the cards have to say. This is the first official reading being done with this deck. So we are christening this deck right here, right now together. And so let's get right into it and see what the cards have to say. What messages do we have for the collective at this time? For our star seeds and light workers. What messages do we have? All right. I didn't do an official reading, but I did I just did a little pre-shuffle, and that was the card that jumped out at me earlier too. So see, this is why we do this way, because the messages for me are the messages for you. We're all one, we're all connected. We're all experiencing this journey together. So it's really cool to see that card just came out again. Any other messages at this exact moment for the collective? Any more messages? Any more messages? Okay, there we go. Got a couple more. Okay, we'll start with these. So we have Jump In. And like I said, this was the card that I got, just that jumped out at me as I was doing the pre-shuffle here, just kind of mixing the cards up a little bit before we got started. And so this card is all about saying yes to change and yes to adventure. And yeah, I mean, it's just, we've got this beautiful galaxy here. It looks like an eye. Yeah, that is really, really cool, actually. It looks like an eye, and it's almost as if there are hands or a body. Oh, it's jumping. The cards jump in, right? And those are actually feet. So it's jumping into the center of this galaxy or this universe, which is like an iris or an eye. And you can see almost just all of the patterns in the clouds. It looks like an extraterrestrial type of an energy that they're in the center of this eye as well. I mean, that's just absolutely gorgeous. I'll hold that closer. I don't know if you guys can see that in the light, but that's just beautiful. And this is all about jumping into the unknown, right? We talk about this a lot, how, that's a huge part of this process, is just being comfortable with the unknown and just having that faith and having that trust that things are going to work out and taking that plunge. And, without the training wheels, if you will, there is so much change going on right now. And there is that adventure and that excitement in the air, and like we can experience it as like fear and chaos, or we can experience it as something invigorating and exciting, and this whole new chapter that we're about to embark on our journey. And so that's sort of the energy with this, is that energy of joy, like we've been talking about, just really enjoying our lives, just finding that joy in everything, finding those things that give us that sense of adrenaline, right? That rush, and in a healthy way, and jumping into those things and following those things and letting those be our guide as we're moving forward. And, just right into the center of this thing, it's like all these different galaxies and all these different worlds that we're able to travel to when we open up our minds and we open up our hearts to the different possibilities. Like, this card also makes me think of, traveling between dimensions and portals and things like that. And, this whole journey as we're moving from one reality and one dimension into each other, and just jumping into the experience and the embracing of that. And so that of course leads right into our next card, which is a new earth. It's happening. Keep holding the vision. And so we talk about the new earth a lot, right? Like, what is that? It seems like a really rosy term, and you hear it thrown around a lot, but you know, like, what I think it's a bit hard for us to conceive of what that might look like or what that might be. And so it's asking us to hold this vision. So I think it's a little bit hard for me to visualize. Sometimes I almost imagine it like it sounds like paradise, right? And so if I'm having trouble envisioning like what that might physically look like, or what that experience might be like in that way, like I hold on to the vision of the feeling of it. Like, what does it feel like to live in that place where we're free, where we're able to express ourselves, where we're able to move around and to experience life without so much of the restrictions that we face now, when we're not in this constant cycle of struggling and overcoming struggle and struggling some more and feeling like we're, you know, it's sort of like the earth as we know it today, and I think as it has been for a really long time, is it's almost like it feels, it's just that sense of confinement, right? And that sense of just sort of being boxed in and controlled. And it's like the true fullness that we are, it has trouble being expressed in the parameters that we have to function under. You know, our world is organized in a way that is not conducive to the human spirit and the true brilliance of the human mind. Even just if we break it down to the simple things like how much sleep we get, you know, like humans weren't meant to function like, that's why we're pumping all that caffeine and all that stuff into us all day long, is because we weren't meant to function the way we're functioning in this current reality. And so a new earth to me is just this experience where we get to live as we were meant to. You know, we experience this unconditional love for each other because we see each other and we understand each other as different aspects of that same being, that same consciousness. We just automatically feel that love and that trust and that respect for each other. And we respect the callings of our souls, and we build our society and the way it functions around being able to express those yearnings and the creativity and our true authenticity. And we all do the things that we were put here to do, because that's what we were meant to do. That's how we were meant to contribute. And I don't understand all the specifics of how it will work, because I'm trying to function from a 3D frame of mind, right? And so I'm trying to imagine a 5D reality from a 3D perspective, and that just doesn't work. So the technicalities, you know, sometimes what I like to do is just put those aside and just focus on like what it would feel like to live in that energy, and the ways that I would be able to conduct myself in the world, and just a world without borders, right? A world without all the labels. You know, I know that this is the Starseed Oracle, which is a label, but you know, it's moving beyond all that stuff, because we are all of that, right? We are all of it. So none of it really applies, because all of it applies. We've been everything, we've done everything, we've seen everything. And you know, at the end of the day, it's not about all those, it's just about who we are at our core, and just seeing that truth and that resonance and experiencing that with each other. So this is a reminder just that it really is happening. Like, the new earth is coming. We are moving towards that. We are vibrating into that. As our frequency changes and becomes more of a match to that, we naturally become sort of like drawn into that energy. It's been really interesting. Just some of the stuff that I've been channeling. I watched. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Dolores Cannon. She's done some really amazing work. She's absolutely worth checking out. And she was actually talking about the new earth and sort of the split between the 3D and the 5D. She didn't talk about it like that. She just talked about it as two separate earths that were going to be existing simultaneously. And I thought that was really fascinating, because I had channeled that, and I had talked about it as like that timeline split, right? If you look back in some of the earlier videos, And it had sounded kind of crazy to me, like, I don't know, but that was just great confirmation that I mean, it really is. It's so important and so imperative that we hold that vision and we keep our faith strong, because our vibration is going to determine what experience of reality we have. Whether we're living in fear and end up in the earth that is now, or we live in faith and we live in love and we vibrate and our vibration resonates and matches with this new earth that is forming. Because we have the choice to live in either reality. And so it's so important to hold that vision and to hold that feeling, that vibration of what that's going to be like, because that vibration is what's going to determine our experience moving forward. So you have the choice. Do you want to live in the old, or do you want to live in the new? And I can tell you, I mean, this new earth it sounds almost like a daydream, right? But it's like anything that we can dream, we can create. And yeah, I mean, it is absolutely happening. It is absolutely happening. And then we have inner earth. You'll survive this. New solutions and beginnings. And that is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And so, to me, what I'm feeling is we're talking about new solutions and beginnings, and we're talking about, it says sort of, we were talking about survival, right? And how we live in this survival consciousness right now. And just confirmation that everything that's going on, everything that happens right now, it seems so hopeless. And, I think maybe I'm getting the feeling that there are people watching this right now who are maybe in that place where you're starting to give up hope a little bit. And so this is a reminder, just playing right off of this New Earth card is like this, like everything that's happening right now is divinely orchestrated. It's happening for a reason, and you will get through this. And you're learning some really valuable lessons right now, and it's all about stepping into that place of forgiveness, stepping into that place of compassion for ourselves and for others, and just really like knowing that like what we feel in our hearts is real and is true, and that we are going to be presented with new beginnings and solutions, and just in ways that we may not have even imagined. It's kind of like what we were saying before, right? It's like we can only, the solutions that we can come up with are very limited by our own perception, and are really built on past experiences that we've had. Like, we can't really come up with anything outside of our own scope of experience, but there are new solutions that are going to be presented to us, and opportunities that are not of our own construct, that are of something greater. And it's just trusting that that's coming, and trusting in our own knowing and our own intuition. Like inner earth, it's, that inner journey, right? It's, some of those solutions may come from our own higher selves when we connect inside in that place. And it's really about connecting to that higher self. And that's really something really important that needs to be discussed, because this is absolutely imperative right now. We are being bombarded with so much information, so much disinformation. It's really hard for people to sort of discern and figure out what information they can trust, like what information is real, what information is false. And so the only way to really do that is to go within and connect to your own inner voice. Connect to your own intuition. It's so imperative that we build our intuition, and we go from a place of feeling from that place. Like, does this feel right? Not like, oh, does this make sense because I'm being presented with these statistics and this and that and all of this outside programming, but like, does this feel true, and does this resonate in my soul? Because that's the only way that we're going to be able to discern fact from fiction at this point. There's so much information. I really encourage people to learn to think for yourselves. Okay? That's what we need to do right now. We're getting rid of all this old programming, right? And so, the Unplug from Mass Consciousness card has been coming up a lot in readings, and it's so important because there is so much fear programming going on right now, and there, like, we have to disconnect from that, and we have to understand that, don't take everything that is presented to you as fact. It's all about gathering as much information and as many alternative viewpoints as we can, and then synthesizing that into our own belief, guided by our own intuition. And this is an absolutely imperative quality to be fine-tuning right now, to be learning how to tap into that inner voice, because we are going to need that moving forward. And that's going to be the only way that we're going to be able to hold our vision, and that we're going to be able to know what the path is to take, because we may be faced with some pretty intense decisions moving forward. How do I want to say here to you guys? Yeah, every choice you make is a choice between love and fear. And every time we choose love, we cement ourselves into this new earth timeline, right? We move to match that vibration. And every time we choose in fear, we move out of that vibration. And so it's so important to really just open our eyes and be able to recognize when something is being presented to us for the motive of keeping us in that fear, and not allowing that to dictate our decisions. That is so imperative right now, and I really urge everyone to do that. And so I just wanted to look here and just see what they said about, what else they may have said about the inner earth. And so I'm thought, yeah, it is. It's all in alphabetical. Yeah. This is just cracking the book open. I mean, this is the trial run right here with this beautiful deck. Many have searched for inner earth in the physical world, but without success. So the mystery continues. Is it a place that exists in the physical or on another level of consciousness? There are solutions beyond what you can perceive, surprising outcomes to your problems and situations, resolutions that are best in the best interests of all involved. If you find yourself facing an obstacle or feeling stuck and have no idea what to do, you're being reassured that there is a way out. You'll survive this and things will work out. It's talking about shifting your thinking, shifting your perspective. Yeah. So just what we were just talking about. I was just curious. I just wanted to see if there were any other messages, but seems like that's it. So yeah, like shifting, finding that inner perspective that can balance out all of the mental perspectives, and just the synergizing of those energies, the intuition and the mind. And portal. Doors are opening. You decide. Rewards. Wildcard. Okay, so also just what we were talking about, right? I'm sorry, I know the reflection isn't the best for seeing these cards here, but the decision is yours, right? The portals are opening. The portals to the new earth, right? And how do we get to that new earth? How do we move through that portal? With our vibration. And so this is just confirmation of that. Is like you get to make that choice. You get to make that choice between fear and love in every moment. And the choice that you make is going to determine where you go moving forward. Yeah, it's, Dolores Cannon, she talked about the two very real earths existing simultaneously and not being aware of each other. And so, it was pretty cool to listen to. And this was a talk that she recorded 7 years ago, and it was really cool to listen to, because it made me feel a little less crazy when I was talking about that. But it is like, what's going to happen is that just being in two different dimensions and in two completely different vibrations, we won't even be able to perceive of each other anymore. And so this can be really scary too, right? Because it means that some of the people that we love and care about may not be coming with us. And so, like, that's another choice that we get to make, right? Like, are we going to move forward into this incredible, like, this has never happened before in the history of the universe, right? In the history of creation, that an entire planet has moved into a different dimension the way that we're doing on Earth right now. Like, this is huge stuff. Like, we are making galactic history right now. And so are we going to choose to take part in that, or are we going to hold ourselves back because others that we love are maybe not making this journey with us? You know, everyone watching this channel right now, you're probably headed to the new Earth, you know, but we can't choose who we get to take with us. We can't make that choice. Just as we are capable of making that decision for ourselves, that's the only person we can make it for. We can't make that decision for other people. And if we spend too much time trying to coerce people, all we're going to be succeeding in doing is bringing our own vibration down. The only thing that we can do is continue to be open about this stuff and talk about this stuff and invite other people to join if they want to join. Sometimes just living in the highest expression of yourself, in your highest energy, living, as they like to say, your best life, draws people in. You know, even if at first, like, they think you sound a little bit crazy, they start watching you and seeing just the abundance and the blessings and the joy that you have in your life. Like, they start wanting some of that, and that of itself can attract people. But people have to be ready to open their minds. You know, they have to be ready to open their hearts. They have to be ready to do the work that it takes to get to this vibration, because it is hard work. You know, we have to release all of that stuff, all of that baggage that holds us down, that's not a match to that vibration. We have to do some serious shadow work, some serious inner child work. I mean, there's a lot that goes into, you know, the ascension process, and it can be really hard. I mean, there are times when I start to think maybe it would be easier to just stick my head back in the sand and go back to just living, you know, a less awakened lifestyle, if you will, and just going through the motions of being just like a person who doesn't think or talk about this kind of stuff. You know, like, I go to work, I go get drunk with my friends, I go to the beach, I go, you know, do whatever it is that I do, watch some Netflix and go to bed at night and wake up and do it all again tomorrow. But the thing is, like, once we start down this path, it's really hard to go back, because our soul we've heard the callings of our soul, and we've begun to answer those calls. And so those calls get louder and they get harder to ignore. And so, like, the resistance to this process is what makes it painful. And the jumping back and forth from one state of enlightenment to another. I mean, as we go through this journey and our vibration starts rising, it's going to go through dips, right? And so it's not, we're going to constantly be, like, in a way, like, we talk about moving into the fifth dimension as though it's this thing that we haven't experienced yet, but we do experience it sometimes. We dip back and forth between all of the dimensions that we've experienced, that we have an awareness of thus far on a regular basis. It's just like, we don't necessarily always maintain that perspective, but it's all about perspective and consciousness. So when we are living from that 5-dimensional consciousness, that unity, that love consciousness, and really in the experience of that, like, we are experiencing that 5th dimensional type energy, or like a taste of that energy, right? But then we kind of get pulled out of it, and then we get pulled back into it. And so it's this constant roller coaster of up and down, and it gets a little less extreme as we go along until we're just able to more consistently maintain that vibration. But, you know, the resistance to that process can really make those peaks and valleys much more intense. And I mean, really, we're stunting our own growth. So that's another thing that I wanted to mention with that. And yeah, you know, like, the rewards to this journey are, I mean, I don't even know, like, how incredible the rewards can be, but I can feel it and I can sense it. And I don't know about you guys, but I can sense the momentum coming. I can sense the energy and just all the beautiful things that are in store for myself and for all of you. And it's just incredible. It's so invigorating. And so it's staying in that energy, right? That energy, that's that jump in energy. And just allowing that to be the dominant vibration. And when I get pulled out of that, coming back to the inner earth, coming back to that inner center, and to my own guidance and wisdom, which tells me, even though my mind wants to tell me that like some of the stuff that I talk about out here is absolutely insane and I'm just crazy, like my heart knows that that's not true. And so the universe does send those synchronicities and that confirmation. But like at the end of the day, like even if it didn't, if I were truly to sit with myself and ask myself what I believe to be true, I mean, I know when we hear or experience truth, there's something deep inside of us that wakes up and connects and recognizes that. And so it's getting in touch with that piece of ourselves, that little voice that recognizes truth when it's spoken or when it's heard. Any other messages for us? Any other messages for us? We have karmic relationships, Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, conflict. Okay. So, this is another key during this journey. All right. And so so the new earth, the 5D earth, whatever you want to call it, karma doesn't exist there. It's not this constant struggle of moving through. I mean, karma gets a bad rap sometimes. It's lessons, right? It's lessons. We're growing, we're evolving, we're learning, we're balancing out energy. It's not like a punishment thing. It's just a balancing of the scales, right? And so, but karma does have a heaviness to it. And karma is something that we experience and we work through in this 3D, 4D earth, but we will not be experiencing in the 5D earth. And so we can't bring that karma with us. And what that means is that we, in order to ascend and move into the experience of the new earth, we have to clear out this karma. And a lot of this is, in relationships, right? We have to clear these karmic relationships in order to be able to move forward. And so how do we do that, right? Well, we do that through acting in integrity, through forgiveness, through compassion. We can have karmic relationships that have ended physically, but that we're still enacting in our minds and energetically because we're still holding anger, we're still holding resentment. And so in order to clear those, we have to practice forgiveness. Forgiveness is absolutely crucial as we're moving forward. Forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others. And it's about understanding and recognizing those relationships. Like if a relationship is exemplifying a single repeating pattern, it is likely karmic. It's likely something that you've done with this person before and you're acting it out again and you keep acting it out again. This is the loop of karma, right? Until you get to the point where at least one of you understands what's happening and acknowledges it and stops repeating the cycle. Like we have to learn the lessons that we're meant to learn from those relationships. And so that's another way that we complete these cycles, is by learning the lessons, is by understanding what this relationship is trying to teach us. And how do we show understanding? We show understanding through action. So once we understand the lesson, then we take the necessary action to wrap up that cycle. It's not about staying in a relationship to continue to punish ourselves or out of some sort of idea of a sacrifice. We're moving out of the Piscean age, this age of, sacrifice, this whole system of martyrdom and self-sacrifice and all this different stuff into a more enlightened age, right? And so, you know, like we have to, or we don't have to do anything. But if we want to move into this new earth, it's imperative that we wrap up these karmic relationships and these energies. Like, they are there for our soul growth. And if we have not grown enough to be able to acknowledge and release these relationships, then we'll have to stick around, and we'll have to learn that, and we'll have to go through that. And I mean, that's a choice that everybody gets to make too. But if you are ready to live in this new era and this new earth, then like those are important things that need to be left behind. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much that. A lot of us have been going through and experiencing a lot of karmic relationships where, you know, we're being given the opportunity to clear those and to heal that energy. That's really what it's about. It's about healing. It's that process of forgiveness is healing for us, and it's healing for the other person. And I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And polarity causes conflict and highlights separation. However, because of this, conflict can also result in unity and growth. Too many misunderstandings are caused when we don't open our heart and mind and see things from a different point of view. So we got something else about seeing from a different perspective too. Which is interesting too, because that's another aspect of karma, right? Like, sometimes what it is when we talk about repeating these situations, it's about actually coming back and experiencing it from a different angle. So, you know, say you were in a relationship where, you know, somebody broke your heart, and the next one you get your heart broken. And so it's that experience that balance out that energy, because you're able to see and understand what somebody went through by going through it yourself. And so these are, and it is very much a wonderful learning experience, right? And a very important learning experience. When we go into reactive second-guessing mode, instead of gathering the courage to open our heart, we should admit that we may have reacted because of our own woundings, and then find mutual ground. We're all innocent children looking to be seen, understood, and cherished. It's much harder to grow closer through conflict than it is to grow further apart. And yet that's the invitation of conflict. It's easy to react and take things personally. It's more challenging to see the innocence of all involved and find a way to grow closer through the conflict. It's through relationships that we grow the most. How can you soften your heart and drop your defenses enough to see things from a different point of view? How can you see the innocence of all involved? How can you learn to see the similarities rather than the differences? And so this is important, because that's sort of kind of like something to put in your toolbox as far as like if you're having difficulty practicing that forgiveness, right? Because that's how we forgive someone, or part of how we can forgive someone is by understanding where they're coming from, and by showing them that compassion and trying to see things from their point of view, trying to find that empathy, right? And so nothing that anybody does to you is really about you, it's about them. And so understanding the wounding that they've experienced, understanding how it might be to be on the receiving end or the other end of whatever it is that's going on, and just really having compassion and love for that. And some of these karmic relationships, like it may not even necessarily be about ending the relationship as much as sometimes just finding that common ground and learning how to understand each other and how to practice that unconditional love with each other, and to come to a place of agreement and understanding where both people feel heard. And this is really interesting, coming in the wake of the full moon in Libra, which was very much about that, and we're still in that energy. Today is the 8th, so it's the day after the full moon, or sort of the culmination, or the moon actually peaked at 2:34, I believe it was, universal time this morning. So like we're still very much in that energy, right? And so that's a big part of it, is being willing to see from different perspectives and to understand other people's point of view. But the key is like not to just keep beating a dead horse and going over the same exact actions and reactions over and over again. It's about creating something new and something more evolved in the place of that. And that's how we learn that lesson, and that's how we grow, and we integrate that knowledge and that wisdom, and then we can move forward. And so we really want to be paying attention to this stuff and, clearing that stuff out. And then we have water your garden, nourishment, body care, tenderness, and rest. So this is all about taking care of our bodies as we're going through this transition, right? I mean, this change in vibration, this change in frequency can be it can be challenging on the physical body, and that's why it's this gradual process, right? Because physically we needed this process to be gradual. We also needed the time to clear up all these loose ends, to release all this karma, to heal all of these wounds, and to build this faith, and to just have the experience that we needed to have through this process, right? But, speaking on just a physical level, like, we really do need to take care of our bodies, and we're being given, actually, it's interesting right now, sort of an opportunity to do this during this slowdown, right? So it's taking that opportunity to rest, to figure out, like, what feels good to my body when I have the freedom to create the routine that I want to create for myself. Like, what feels best and what is most nurturing for me? And, just doing that, and really, really taking care of that, watching what we're eating, what we're putting into our bodies. Food can be very, very healing, or it can be very harmful, depending on what it is that we are, taking in. Getting plenty of rest, like we talked about, just all of these different things, the salt baths, exercise, stretching, just caring, listening to our bodies, really building that dialogue with our bodies so that they can tell us what it is that they need. Because if we're able to listen, they're always speaking to us. It's just, are we listening? And then are we acting on what it is that they're saying? And any more cards? Any more guidance? Okay. Loosen your grip. Coping mechanisms, density, addiction. Let God in. Yeah. So that's all just, once again, about allowing what's no longer serving us to phase itself out. Letting go of all of that stuff that doesn't serve us anymore. Letting go of all those old stories that we tell ourselves, all those old habits and behaviors that became instinctual over so much time, and just building new habits, and just really being aware of those things when they try to work their way back in. And if we are getting drawn to utilize a coping mechanism, an old coping mechanism, like, why? What is it that's bothering me? What is it that doesn't feel right? That's taking me out of my center, that's causing me to desire to revert back to something to fill that void, or to fill that space, or to kind of put a Band-Aid over that wound, right? Like, now is not the time to be putting on Band-Aids. Now is the time to be giving those wounds some air, exposing them, allowing them to heal through that process of being exposed, and doing that with love. And so, yeah, that's what I'm getting from that, is just like, it's time to release all of that stuff. Like, we've really just got to let it go. Sometimes it seems easier to sink back into it, but that's not the solution. That's only stunting our growth and taking us backwards. And now is not the time to be moving backwards. Like, we can make this journey as long as we want by continuing to sink back into those old things, but it's going to be a long journey if we do that. And at some point, like, we're not going to be able to get back, because the realities are going to split off, and you're going to be here, and eventually you'll finish out this lifetime here. And if you've learned enough, maybe you will eventually move over here. But, like, wouldn't it be so much nicer to be able to move over here right now? Like it said earlier, the choice is yours. You get to choose, you get to decide. But it's just like, the lessons learned. We don't need to go back and take the test again. Like, just allow that shit, allow that shit to go, and just, like, be open to experience. Like, when we talk about experiencing the unknown, we also talk about experiencing that in ourselves. Like, this person that I'm becoming, that's unfamiliar to me and scary to me. And sometimes that's why we slip back into those old patterns, is because the person that we're becoming is so unfamiliar that we want to reach back for something that we used to know. We want to revert back to an older identity that feels more comfortable. And sometimes it is good to do that, because when we do that, then we realize that doesn't resonate with us anymore. But we want to be careful about doing that too much, and about allowing that to become its own addiction and its own pattern. Okay, so yeah, we have the ability, and the energies are supporting us in making these huge changes right now, and overcoming these addictions and these old belief systems, and shedding this density. Like, we are being supported in that process, so take advantage of that. That's all I want to say about that. Any other cards before we wrap this up? That's too many. All right. I'm going to take this top one here. Oh, actually, I'm going to take a couple of these. So we have Star Bathing, Light Body Crystal Grid Transmission Activation. So our light bodies are being activated right now, on so many different levels, right? So we are becoming capable of holding more energy. We are the crystal grid, right? So we'll talk about this. We had an experience, everyone who joined in that mass meditation, of creating and anchoring into that crystal grid. And so that is what's happening right now. We are activating our light bodies. We are being those transmitters, right? Those towers. I received communication the other day, and one of the messages that I received was that right now, like, that is what our job is to be those satellite towers, if you will. Different beings of light, beings in service to the light, are sending down this energy, and we are the channels through which this energy is anchoring into the earth. And so we have been stationed in our different parts of the planet in order to be part of that grid system, to bring in that light. And we are creating that crystal grid, that diamond grid, that is elevating the earth into this new 5-dimensional reality. And so just by existing and being a transmitter of that energy, we are making a huge difference. And so just continuing to do that, and continuing to work, to meditate, to refine your ability to do that. That was the other message that I got. It's about, actually what it says right here, right? Becoming the clearest channels for the energy that we can be. So that means getting rid of these lower vibrational habits and addictions and things that bring down our energy, releasing that so that we can become clearer channels for this energy. Taking care of our physical bodies, getting physically healthy, watching what we're putting into our bodies so that we can become those clearer channels of energy. Watching our thoughts, watching our beliefs. That stuff affects our vibration. And, staying in that space of joy, in that space of expansion, and, holding that vision, and which holds that vibration, which helps us to be that clear channel for that energy. Just being the clearest channels that we can be is what we're here meant to be doing right now. Tapping into our own intuition, tapping into our own soul, not being swayed and easily influenced by all of the fear mongering that's going on outside, and just connecting into that space within, and being, once again, that clear channel for that energy. We just received a major activation with the 444 portal. We're integrating that right now. It has allowed us to become a clearer and stronger channel for that energy. And so we're going to have more developing with that. We're going to have more soul gifts developing. Our intuition is going to be developing more deeply. So much, we're going to be tapping into so much as a result of that, and just allowing that process to happen. And then let's see. Star Brothers, Horus energy, protection, loyalty, safety, and trust. So this is just confirmation that we are being protected, and to have faith and trust, and to just, like we said, stay tapped into that energy. We are being protected, we are being guided, and like we are safe and we are loved and we are cared for. And just knowing that, and not allowing, once again, that fear mentality to get a hold of us. And then we have lifting the veil, questioning everything. Anything unaligned must go. So this is questioning everything that you're told, coming to your own truth and your own determination of what truth is based on your own resonance and your own inner guidance system, which is what we've been talking about. And once again, just anything that's not in alignment with our soul purpose and our soul mission and the vibration that we are carrying, and with this new earth and this new energy that we're moving into, like releasing that and allowing that to go and be replaced by something that is. And just anywhere where there's disharmony in our relationships, finding that compassion and finding that forgiveness so that we can step into that feeling of harmony. And just really seeing through the illusions that we are being presented with. And then we have this one keeps popping up. These both do. So we're going to take, we're going to quickly take these few, and then we'll call it a day. So this one kept popping up on the bottom of the death. It says, we the Hathors, deep love, mother's milk, birth as a portal. So we're talking about the birth of the 5D earth, right? We're talking about the birth of the 5D earth. We're talking about being in that love consciousness, how that love and that unity consciousness is helping to birth this new earth, right? Like it is the life force, the sustaining force that is driving this ascension process, is that love and that unity consciousness. And, just allowing ourselves to experience that and sink into that, and look at every experience that we have through the eyes of that love and that unity consciousness. This is also making me think a little bit about they call them the indigo children, or the star children that are starseed children that are being born, that are going to help us with this transition into this new earth. And so that's being brought up as well. The Hathors are here to remind you that you're a child of the cosmic mother, and you're being called to be held by her deep, never-ending love and embrace. This is a tender, nourishing card reminding you to receive the deep, deep love of the mother's embrace. The Hathors know that the journey on earth can be rocky and lonely at times, but you're being reminded to rest more deeply in the mother's arms. This is a card of extreme potency, of femininity, of creation, and of birth. You're being called to mother yourself and others too, to surrender to your sacred femininity, to create and surrender to your own creations, to hold and be held. You're being called to remember your place in the web of life, and to realize that the cosmic mother is watching you every step of the way. You may be going through a transition right now, moving from one way of being to another. If so, you're being reminded that you're cradled in a sacred container, that you're more held than you can possibly imagine, and you have access to more love than your heart can bear. If you're struggling in any way, you're being reassured that things will work out. Open yourself to receiving the overflowing love of the cosmic mother, flooding toward you from every direction. Let it stretch out your heart. Just sinking into that love energy, that trust, that faith that you are being supported, you are being guided, and just expanding that love into every interaction that we have with everyone else. Like seeing through the eyes of that love and that unity, and practicing that with ourselves and with others. And then weight of the world. Boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. So once again, just a reminder to continue to release that. I'm so sorry about the lighting, you guys. Continue to release that which doesn't serve. Continue to release and to let it go. She's laying in the water, and she's just floating on the top of the water, and she's relaxed, and she knows that she's not going to sink. She knows that she's held by the water, and that if she struggles, then that's when we start to sink, right? When we start struggling and we start panicking. But if we just relax and we just float, then our head bobs right up to the surface again, and we're able to breathe, right? So it's just about like knowing what's ours and what's not, and what's not ours, not, it's once again that not being that martyr, right? Not getting caught up in that sacrificial energy and thinking that it's ever the divine's plan for us to be unhappy or for us to be like unnecessarily burdened and for the benefit of somebody else, because it's not. Like, there is true love and true expression of our divine nature is absolutely limitless and abundant, and it brings a sense of joy and a sense of peace. And if we're not experiencing that, then we're carrying something that isn't ours, or we're carrying something that was ours, but it's time to release and let go because it no longer serves. And then this card kept popping up too, so we're going to close with this one. It says Starkeeper, Cosmic Ancestor, seed the light by staying grounded. So right off the bat, I'm reminded again of the fact of us as, and you can see it sort of in this picture with the light coming down into that. I think that's a sphinx. No, it's not a sphinx. That is, it looks like an Egyptian sarcophagus. But yeah, the light, we are those towers of light, right? We are grounding that light and seeding that light into the earth. And we are receiving that from our cosmic ancestors, right? And so our job is right now is just to do that, just to remain, to be that channel for which that light moves through. And let's see, we're gonna read what this says here. You're an ancient keeper of the stars, here to anchor and seed your light in your new unique way. You've likely been incarnating on Earth for some time, dedicated to an era of awakening and bringing about a long-awaited shift in the planet's evolution. We're at a tipping point now. The survival of Earth and all its species is coming to a head. The more grounded you remain during this transitional period, the more helpful you'll be. The more you tend to the flames of your own heart, the more love you'll anchor onto this planet. The true wisdom of the stars is imprinted in your soul. The more soul fragments you call home, the more this wisdom is seated here. You may be called to be in different places in the world to anchor this light. We were just talking about that, yep. Perhaps by taking a trip or living in a certain location. You may also find yourself experiencing awakening symptoms. The more grounded you remain, the more stable Earth's energy will become and the less reactive humanity will be. You're here for a double mission, to grow as an individual and as part of a larger collective that's bringing about a shift in frequency. Trust that you can be in the world but not of it, and lead a truly glorious life. I like that last part. Trust that you can be in the world but not of it, and lead a truly glorious life. Right? And so a lot of us who identify with or feel some resonance with the term starseed, right? Like, our origins are not of this earth. And so coming here can feel very lonely sometimes. It can feel very confusing because this isn't, like, we relate more to the stars and to space and to these other dimensions because that's where our energy feels most at home. I mean, we are everything, right? But that's what we connect to most. And so, like, this earth experience can be a challenging one, but we came here to learn, and we came here to grow, and we came here to love, and we came here to experience everything that it means to be a human. But we also came here right now with a higher purpose of helping. Well, I don't want to say a higher purpose because that would imply that purpose isn't enough, but a dual purpose of helping humanity to evolve, right? And so that involves, like, we have to, in order for change to be enacted on Earth, like, other beings can't act from outside, right? Like, they have to, like, we have to be here to ground this energy. It has to be done from within this reality. So we had to come here to help this earth from this earth. And so that's a very sacred and a very divine purpose, but it can be really challenging. So we have to live in this experience as well, and not in this experience in the way of, like, getting overwhelmed and bogged down with all of the heaviness of it, right? But living in this experience as far as understanding and honoring the fact that we are present here right now. and being here right now. And knowing that this isn't where we came from and this isn't where we go, but it's where we are in this moment and where we wanted to be to have this experience, and just making the most of that experience. And the way we make the most of that experience is by living in love, is by following our passions, following our callings, using our voice, expressing our authentic selves and our truth, and, standing by that truth, by being this guiding light for humanity. But we have to be that guiding light as part of humanity. And just, being grateful for that and honoring that, and, just being actively part of that process. That means honoring our bodies, honoring these temples, these vehicles that we've chosen, that we move around this reality in, right? And so just allowing ourselves to be fully part of that and fully participate in life. But at the same time, that's it. Just allowing ourselves to fully participate in life. So I think that's going to be it for this reading. We pulled a lot of really amazing cards, and I want to thank all of you guys for being here for the unveiling of this deck. It's a really beautiful deck. I apologize, the lighting wasn't the greatest. There was some glare on the cards. I'm sorry about that. It's with this whole quarantine situation that we've got going on, I've been going to sleep kind of late and I've been waking up kind of late, and so a lot of the time I don't shoot these videos until it is dark. But the messages were there. So I hope that you enjoyed this reading. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. It helps a lot. Subscribe, share, comment down below. Share your own experience, anything that you got from the reading, any questions. I do energy healing sessions if you would like an energy healing session to really help you to stay grounded and help with releasing and working through some of those things that we talked about in the reading. Please reach out to me. I'm doing discounted sessions for $44.44 right now. If you'd like a reading, you can reach out to me for that. I do spiritual coaching. We can talk, we can look at some of your astrology, we can use the cards, I throw in some energy healing, we can create whatever works best for you. And Kayla does incredible tarot readings. Definitely reach out to her. Her information's down below as well. We're going to be doing some videos. We think we figured out a way to be able to record those together and put those on here, so you'll be getting some videos from the two of us coming up again pretty soon. And we're just moving and flowing with the energy, and doing the best we can in any moment. And that's really all we can do. And I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you all have a wonderful night, my beautiful little star seeds.